I believe this is what they refer to in the industry as the old switcheroo, because last week I reviewed a movie called SubUrbia, and this week I'm going to be reviewing a movie called SubUrbia. So SubUrbia, the one with the capital U in the middle, from 1996. I thought I'd wear one of the most 90s shirts I have around. It's a film by Richard Linklater, and it's actually based on a play of the same name and written by the writer of that original play, Eric Bogosian, I think his name is. He's had some extensive work in Law & Order: Criminal Intent, as well as other theater projects, and just a few days ago was signed on to work with the Safdie brothers, who were responsible for my absolute favorite movie of last year, Good Time. And also Adam Sandler will be in the same movie. And Richard Linklater has been known for many movies such as Boyhood or the Sunrise, Sunset, Before Midnight trilogy, and Waking Life, but also more specifically a kind of subgenre of films that are very talky and independent, such as Dazed and Confused, or Slacker, which I already reviewed on this channel a few years ago and really liked. And this one's a lot like those in that it all takes place in one day, and it's kind of like a slice of life where we're just kind of watching characters just have extended conversations, but it never seems uninteresting. I mean, except for Dazed and Confused, I never liked that one. But this one is almost like the next logical, mature step, wherein it's taking that format but giving it a bit more of a narrative structure, and kind of saying, okay, these are the characters, we kind of know their types based on these other movies that we've seen. What comes after? The plot is very simple, especially on a surface level. It's just a bunch of, I don't know, early 20-something teens hanging out in any town, USA, doesn't really matter where, and they all kind of lament on what's fucked up about the world, and they just kind of hang out in front of the same convenience store and drink beer and fritter their time away. Sound familiar to any of you? This seems to be its own kind of subgenre of 90s movies of just people standing around talking, and that's the whole movie. I'm thinking of that Gus Van Sant movie where they're just walking down the road the whole time, whatever one that's called. This is almost like My Dinner with Andre for the MTV's The State generation. It's cool to see a movie called SubUrbia take a look at punk subculture in a more nuanced way. I'm looking in your direction, original SubUrbia. And this one really kind of got under my skin, and I've seen it a few times over the years now, and each time it seems to hit home a little bit harder and harder each time. It's very simple on the surface level, but as the movie progresses and unfolds, it becomes much, much more deep and almost disturbing in a way.
My duty as a human being to be pissed off.
Now, one thing that makes this movie interesting is that our main character is at the same time a very outspoken, sort of pessimistic character who anything that comes to light, he just wants to sort of shoot it down or talk about why it's all bullshit, or, screw materialism and all this kind of stuff. And on the one hand, there's a lot of points that he's right about, or he has some kind of truth behind it, and at the same time he's just an obnoxious prick, and he's kind of holding everyone else around him back, including his girlfriend, and then you kind of see a disintegration of that relationship, or kind of seeing the last day of that relationship.
What are we doing, Jeff? You and me.
I think we've all at a point in time either had a friend like this or have seen parts of this within ourselves, and that's what makes it all the more difficult to not really be able to decide whether we like this character or not. A lot of the cast of characters in this movie are somewhat recognizable. Giovanni Ribisi, who plays the lead, has had a resurgence. He used to pop up on Friends and stuff like that, but he's in the somewhat successful new Amazon series Sneaky Pete. Nikki Card had previously appeared in the movie Dazed and Confused, and Parker Posey and Steve Zahn would collaborate both before and after this film. Just after this one, they would be in a little Hollywood motion picture called You've Got Mail. And then even the same year Whereas this movie, Steve Zahn and Tom Hanks of You've Got Mail would be in another movie called That Thing You Do. And Steve Zahn, he's kind of a blast in anything he's in, and especially in this movie, starts out very promising with a kind of charming opening sequence. As charming as it can be with him immediately picking his nose and talking about, "Were you bringing that pot tonight?" And then he quickly becomes infuriatingly annoying.
Hey, Frankie! Hey, what are you doing?
Time's running out. Hey, man, I got work. Meet me at the corner.
And then serviceable again, and then annoying again, and it kind of fluctuates all over, but I can't imagine this movie without him, so good on you, Steve Zahn. And both Steve Zahn and the actor who plays the convenience store clerk are both actually reprising their roles from the original stage play. I'm not even going to take a shot at the convenience store actor's name. I'm not going to embarrass myself. No. And I really get that feeling that all the actors genuinely want to be there and make the best product as an ensemble that they can. And that really, you can just feel that through the film. And at 2 hours for a movie where it's just people kind of talking and there's not much action, it never feels boring. It's always very engaging, and it just gets more and more real as it goes on. The full picture starts to come into the fray the longer the movie goes on, and really just every cut and every scene has some sort of purpose and moves the plot forward, even though it's still got this very kind of like loose feeling to it all. It's very expertly done. If you want to watch a movie that's really well done, where it's literally just people talking the whole time, you know, a little bit more interesting than like Sex Lies in a Videotape or something, then this should really be in your wheelhouse. So yeah, really a bittersweet effort. It's kind of this weird dichotomy of it's a very enjoyable movie, and I love this movie, but it's hard to maybe recommend to everyone because it is also a downer at the same time. But if you're like me and many of your favorite movies are depressing, then hey, take the fast track to sadness. Oh man, I haven't even mentioned the soundtrack. Apparently the score was composed by Stuart Copeland of The Police, but there's also a lot of exclusive instrumental material from Sonic Youth and a couple of their songs, and I think a Thurston Moore solo song, not to mention Girls Against Boys, Skinny Puppy, Beck, The Kinks, just a lot of great stuff. X, who are even a holdover from the decline of Western civilization. There you go. But yeah, this is really a product of the 90s, but in the best possible way. The fashion, or just the sort of sense of humor that goes along with it, and the performances and the attitude, very 90s. This is probably one of the more underrated Linklater movies. I would much rather show a group of people this movie than, say, like Boyhood. Not to hate on that one too much, but... And I don't think it's giving much away, but I like how the movie both opens and ends, where it's just kind of shots of suburbia and life as usual, and even though all this stuff has happened to these characters in this one day, life just goes on, and the world keeps turning, and there's just shots of sprinklers and dilapidated houses and stuff like that. It's too real, man. It's too real. So there's not much more I can really expand upon. It really feels like a play, but in the most complimentary way that I can think of, and really great performances all around, and yeah, just left me feeling very sad. So do not start drinking and watching this movie alone. It's not a good idea. You know what? I guess that's it, folks. I mean, I want to give you the giggles, but this one's sad in an all too real way. Have I mentioned that? It's too real. Alright guys, there must be giants, and have a good day, and you know, stay sexy, won't you?